Santiago del Carmen Maria, the queen of crowning songs.
Snap Sabotage Showdown. Blue states starve while the Tyrant plays dirty December 3, 2025. Oh honey. Can you believe this fresh hell dropping on us today like a lead balloon at a birthday party? Because if I had to sum up the latest whisper turning into a full-blown scream in the political backrooms, it's that the orange Tyrant and his merry band of budget slashers are straight up threatening to yank the rug out from under food stamps in every blue state that dares to say no to their creepy data grab. And let me tell you, this isn't some abstract policy wonkery. This is a goddamn attack on the grocery lines where real families are scraping by. Kids going to bed with growling stomachs because some suit in DC decided hunger is a great bargaining chip. And the sheer audacity of it all has me over here clutching my pearls and laughing bitterly, because who needs decency when you've got grudges to settle? Guys, here we go again with the genocide against our people. Slow and insidious, starving out the vulnerable just because they live in a zip code that didn't vote for the clown car parade, and it's unfolding right now as the Agriculture Secretary. That Brooke Rowland's character, who's basically the Tyrant's errand girl for all things petty, stands up in a cabinet meeting yesterday and announces like it's no big deal that they're cutting off billions in administrative funds for SNAP starting next week, unless states hand over every scrap of personal info on recipients. Names, immigration status, social security numbers, the works. All under the flimsy excuse of rooting out fraud, but we all know it's code for hunting immigrants and punishing anyone who smells like opposition. And oh my God. The hypocrisy burns brighter than a dumpster fire because these are the same folks who cried about government overreach when it was their ox getting gored, now turning around and weaponizing food aid like it's a personal vendetta. Picture this, if you will, because I've got sources buzzing in my ear like angry bees at a picnic, telling me how Rowlands drops this bomb right there in the White House, all smug and straight-faced, saying 29 red states played ball and coughed up the data back in February when the request first slithered out, but those 21 stubborn blue holdouts, places like California with its massive melting pot of working families, New York where the hustle never sleeps, but neither do the food banks, Minnesota with its sensible folks just trying to get through winter without choices between heat and hot dogs, they're holding the line, refusing to betray their residents' privacy. And for that crime, the Tyrant's crew is ready to flip the switch and watch the chaos cascade. Funds frozen so states can't even process applications or issue those EBT cards that mean the difference between a full fridge and a heartbreaking empty one. And I swear, if this doesn't scream targeted cruelty, I don't know what does, because it's not about fraud, folks, it's about control. It's about making an example of the coasts and the Heartland Blues who dared to elect governors with spines, and the laughter bubbling up in me is that dark, cynical kind where you go ha ha ha. Isn't this just perfect? The man who bankrupted casinos now bankrupting bellies. Let me paint the scene for you, because gossip thrives on the juicy details, and this one's dripping with them. Imagine the cabinet room yesterday afternoon, December 2nd, tension thick as fog rolling off the Potomac. The orange Tyrant slouched at the head of the table, probably doodling Sharpie hurricanes on a napkin or whatever passes for focus in his world. And Rowlands, this Texas transplant with her polished boots and zero chill, leans in and lays it out. Voice all businesslike as if she's discussing crop yields instead of human suffering, declaring that as of next week, the money train stops for those non-compliant states. No more federal dollars to keep the SNAP machine humming. And you can bet your last dollar there were nods around the room from the Yes Men Brigade, maybe a chuckle from the defense guy who's too busy bombing weddings abroad to care about domestic famines. But outside those walls, oh Lord, the phones exploded. Governors firing off statements like New York's Kathy Hochul tweeting why on earth is this administration so hell-bent on people going hungry, and California's crew calling it skeptical bluster but bracing for the hit anyway, because billions are at stake here. Billions that cover the nuts and bolts of running the program for over 40 million Americans total, But zeroing in on blue zones means targeted pain for the urban poor, the rural holdouts, the immigrants and their neighbors all tangled up in the same safety net. And what a joke. The tyrant spent his campaign yapping about draining the swamp, but now he's flooding the streets with desperation. All because a federal judge back in October slapped down an earlier attempt at this exact stunt with a preliminary injunction saying you can't withhold funds over data demands. Oh no, you can't, but did that stop them? Not on your life. They're appealing and doubling down, sending fresh letters yesterday urging compliance or else. And if that flops, formal warnings followed by the big chop, and I can't even the gall, the disregard. It's like watching a toddler smash his toys because mommy won't share the remote, except the toys are people's livelihoods, and the remote is basic human privacy. And don't get me started on the backstory, because this didn't hatch overnight like some fever dream. No, this egg was laid way back in February when the USDA started sniffing around for this so-called fraud data, claiming it was all about protecting taxpayers. But come on. We see through that tissue-thin veil. It's the same old playbook from the first go-round, demonizing the needy to score points with the base, pretending every Snap user is some scheming moocher when stats show fraud rates hover under 1%. Most glitches are paperwork hiccups, not criminal masterminds, but facts be damned when you've got rallies to rile up. And now, with the shutdown hangover still fresh, that 6-week nightmare in October-November where benefits nearly lapsed and families rationed ramen like it was caviar. They're circling back for round 2, ignoring the bipartisan pleas from senators who called this a privacy violation months ago, and yelling from the rooftops, this is genocide by spreadsheet, slow starvation disguised as fiscal responsibility, hitting hardest the communities of color. The working poor, the ones the orange tyrant wouldn't spit on if they were on fire, and oh, the roasting I could do. How this man who golfs on gold-plated greens lectures about waste while his cronies golf away ethics rules. It's peak absurdity, ha ha ha. Laugh to keep from crying because if we don't mock the madness, it'll crush us. And sources are whispering that even some red state allies are side-eyeing this, knowing it could boomerang if ports clog or farms falter. But loyalty trumps logic every time in that cult, so here we are. Blue states scrambling for workarounds, maybe dipping into rainy day funds or suing the pants off the feds again. But the damage is done. The fear is real. Families wondering if their next grocery run will be their last subsidized one. And the intensity of it all boils my blood. Because this isn't governance. It's grudge holding on a national scale, punishing half the country for not bowing, and the orange tyrant sits there grinning like he won the lottery, oblivious or uncaring that history will tattoo this as his legacy of cruelty. The guy who turned food into a weapon because his ego couldn't handle a no. But mark my words, this backfires spectacularly, governors uniting, lawsuits piling up like snowdrifts, public outrage turning viral faster than a cat video. Because Americans, even the quiet ones, draw the line at kids going hungry for politics. And when the polls shift and midterms loom, oh boy. The reckoning, the tyrant will blame everyone but the mirror, aides scattering like roaches at dawn, but we'll remember, we'll roast it into folklore, this snap sabotage as the dumbest cell phone yet, and laugh all the way to the ballot box, because resilience is our superpower. And no tantrum from on high changes that. Phew, what a whirlwind, right, my heart's racing just spilling it, but that's the tea, scalding hot and unfiltered, because silence is complicity, and I'm allergic to that nonsense. MAGA, please note, I was not talking to you and I do not need permission to speak up. And God, do I fearlessly speak my mind. I just want to thank you all, like, share, comment, and follow to stay connected. It also helps me out a lot. I appreciate your time and I love you all. I am Santiago del Carmen Maria, the Queen of Crowning Thoughts, because I say it like it is. Crowning Thoughts, True Speaker, copyright 2025 by Santiago DC Maria, is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share, alike 4.0 International.